Okay, we're going to do a very simple version of Amazing Grace right now. And the simplest version that I can possibly think of is melody only. And this is a good thing to do when you're learning to play hymns, because you can take the hymn book and you can just take the very top line of the hymn book and play that song. And what I mean by the top line, I hope everybody knows, there's normally 4 notes in a hymn book, 4-note harmony, and the very highest one is almost always the melody. And so if you know a little bit about note reading, you can learn the melody just from that line. You can also pick it out by ear, just by picking the notes on the piano, and I'll play that for you, and that's the first step in learning this song. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with the entire thing because it's so simple. What we'll do now is we're going to add some basic chords. And for Amazing Grace, you can play the song with only 3 chords. And that is very common with a lot of songs. You can play 99% or maybe 95% of the songs out there, hymns that is, with just 3 chords. And Amazing Grace is in the key of G. That means that the song ends on the note G. You can always tell what key a song is in by what note it ends on. Okay, so at the very end of the song, days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Okay, so it ends on G, so it's in the key of G. Now that is very important because it tells us what chords that we're going to use to accompany the melody. Okay, and for the key of G, you're going to primarily use 3 chords. G chord, the C chord, and a D7th chord. Okay, now let's break those down. And let's bring the camera over here a little closer where you can see a little better what this chord is. And hopefully my fancy camera system won't fall off. Okay, a G chord is made up of G, B, D. Okay, you need to memorize that. Now, you can have any combination of G, B, and D you want to, and it's still a G chord. It can be B, D, G, or D, G, B, and then back to the starting position called the root, which is just G, B, D. Okay? Hope everybody can see that. The next chord is the C chord, E, G, C, or G, C, E, or the root position, C, E, G. And finally, there's the D7th chord, which is a D with an added 7th. And the reason it's 7th is because it's 1 whole step down from the octave. This is the octave, this is the 7th, and then we have the major triad D chord, but we can either leave this out or not and add the 7th, and that's called a 7th chord. Okay, and the 7th can be any inversion as well. It can be like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. Doesn't matter how you combine the chords. That just has to do with how it sounds. And so we pick those for what sounds best. But those are the 3 chords that we'll be using in Amazing Grace.